Once, in a kingdom where the forests were thick and the mountains jagged, there lived a man of immense wealth. He owned townhouses in the city, vast hunting lodges in the country, and a castle that pierced the clouds with its obsidian spires. His dinner plates were gold, his furniture was inlaid with ivory, and his carriages were gilded. He was, by all accounts, a perfect suitor, save for two misfortunes. The first was that he was frightfully ugly. The second, and more unsettling, was that his beard was not black, nor brown, nor gray, but a vivid, unnatural shade of blue. It was a blue so dark it shimmered like a bruised sky before a storm. It made him look so terrible and grim that women and children fled when he passed. They called him simply Bluebeard. A noblewoman lived nearby with two beautiful daughters and two brave sons. Bluebeard, desiring a wife, asked for the hand of one of the daughters. He left it to the mother to choose which one. But neither daughter wanted him. They played a polite game of refusal, passing him back and forth. "I could never marry a man with a blue beard," the elder said. "Nor I," said the younger, whose name was Ilara. "Besides, what of his previous wives? He's been married several times, and yet no one knows what became of them."
I simply won't hear of you staying elsewhere. Please.
To conquer their fear, Bluebeard invited the mother, the daughters, and several of their friends to one of his country estates. For a week, life was nothing but pleasure. There were hunting parties, fishing expeditions, dances, and feasts that lasted until dawn. Bluebeard was charming, witty, and incredibly generous. He was so attentive that by the week's end, the youngest daughter, Ilara, began to think that his beard was not so blue after all, and that he was a very worthy man.
The trail leads this way. We are close.
Magnificent! I have never ridden so fast.
You know, his beard really isn't so blue after all. He seems quite charming.
Upon their return to the city, the marriage contract was signed. Ilara became the Lady of the Azure Keep. A month passed in luxury. Ilara found her husband to be strange but affectionate. He was possessive, yes, but he showered her with jewels and granted her every whim.
This necklace symbolizes my adoration for you.
It's exquisite, my lord.
One autumn morning, Bluebeard ordered his carriage. He told Ilara he was obliged to take a journey into the provinces for important business, which would last at least 6 weeks.
I must away to the city for a short while. Everything in the castle is yours.
He urged her to enjoy herself in his absence. "Invite your good friends," he said, his voice smooth as velvet. "Indeed, take them to the country if you wish. Eat well, dance, and make good cheer." He produced a heavy ring of keys from his belt. They jingled with the promise of ownership. "Here," he said, separating them.
These open the strong boxes. These the furniture.
"These are the keys to the 2 great storerooms of furniture. These are for the gold and silver plate, which is not used every day. These open the strong boxes where my gold and silver is kept. This one is for the caskets of jewels, and this master key opens all the apartments in the castle." He paused, holding up a single small key. It was intricately carved, seemingly older than the others. "But this small key," he said, his eyes darkening, "is the key to the closet at the end of the long gallery on the ground floor. Open everything else, go everywhere else, but I strictly forbid you to enter that little closet."
I strictly forbid you.
And I forbid it in such a manner that if you happen to open it, there will be no limit to my anger. Obey your orders exactly." He kissed her, climbed into his carriage, and the horses thundered away. No sooner had Bluebeard left than the neighbors and friends arrived. They did not wait to be invited. Their impatience to see the legendary splendors of the house was too great. They had been too afraid of the Bluebeard to come while he was home. Now they ran through the rooms, the chambers, and the wardrobes, each more splendid than the last. They marveled at the tapestries, the mirrors where one could see oneself from head to foot, and the frames of gold and silver.
Look at this velvet!
They praised Ilara's good fortune constantly, their envy thinly veiled by compliments. But Ilara was not amused by the sight of all these riches. She was tormented by a single thought: the little key. The prohibition planted a seed of curiosity that grew rapidly into a vine, choking her common sense. What was in the closet? Was it treasure more vast than the gold upstairs? Was it a secret library? Her guests were busy admiring a chandelier in the ballroom.
Oh, please forgive me. I just realized I left my shawl upstairs. I'll be right back.
Ilara slipped away. She descended a back staircase, her heart beating so violently she thought it might bruise her ribs. She reached the door of the closet at the end of the long gallery. She stood there for a long time. She remembered her husband's warning. She remembered the strange look in his eyes. There will be no limit to my anger. It is just a closet, she whispered to herself. What can there be in looking? With a trembling hand, she put the key into the lock. It turned with a smooth, well-oiled click. The door creaked open. At first, she saw nothing, for the windows were shuttered. But after a few moments, her eyes adjusted to the gloom. The floor was clotted with something dark and thick. It was blood. And in that blood, reflected by the dim light, lay the bodies of several dead women, ranged against the walls. These were all the wives whom Bluebeard had married and murdered, one after another. Her scream died in her throat. The air was cold and smelled of copper and old dust. She was so seized with horror that the key, which she had pulled from the lock, slipped from her hand and fell on the stained floor. She gasped, snatched up the key, and slammed the door shut. She locked it, her hands shaking so badly she scratched the wood. She ran upstairs to her chamber to compose herself, but she was too terrified. She looked at the key. It was stained with blood. She took a handkerchief and wiped it. The stain remained. She washed it with soap and water. The stain persisted. She scrubbed it with sand and pumice stone. The blood was gone, but a moment later it bloomed again, bright red on the iron. The key was enchanted. When she scrubbed one side, the spot appeared on the other. There was no way to clean it.
I am lost.
That very evening, the sound of carriage wheels crushed the gravel of the driveway. Bluebeard had returned. He claimed he had received letters on the road informing him that the business he went about was already finished to his advantage. His wife did everything she could to feign joy at his speedy return, but her face was pale as milk. The next morning, he asked for the keys. Ilara gave them to him, but her hand trembled so violently that he guessed what had happened instantly.
Where is the key to the closet?
I left them upstairs on my dressing table.
Go and fetch them immediately.
After several delays, she could pretend no longer. She brought him the key. Bluebeard examined it. He looked at the red stain, then at his wife. "Why is there blood on this key?" "I do not know," the poor woman replied, paler than death. "You do not know?" Bluebeard roared. "But I know well enough. You wished to enter the closet."
You wanted to go into the closet? Very well. You shall go in and take your place.
Have mercy, please.
Ilara threw herself at his feet. She wept, she begged, she showed all the true repentance for her disobedience. She was beautiful and distressed enough to melt a stone, but Bluebeard's heart was harder than granite.
You must die.
He said coldly, and immediately.
If I must die, give me a little time to say my prayers.
I give you a quarter of an hour, but not a moment more.
He left her alone in the great hall. Ilara immediately ran up the stairs to the highest tower where her sister Anne was keeping watch for her brothers. They had promised to visit that day for a hunting trip. "Sister Anne!" she cried out the window. "Sister Anne, do you see anyone coming?" Anne looked over the sun-drenched countryside. "I see nothing but the sun which makes dust and the grass which looks green." Downstairs, Bluebeard shouted, shaking the whole house.
Come down quickly, or I will come up to you.
"One more moment, I beg you," Ilara replied. She turned back to the window. "Sister Anne, do you see anyone coming?" "I see a flock of sheep raising a little dust," Anne replied sadly. "Is it my brothers?" "Alas, no, my sister. It is only sheep." "Come down!" Bluebeard roared again, drawing a great cutlass. The sound of the blade sharpening against the stone floor echoed up the stairs. "I'm coming," Ilara sobbed. She looked one last time. "Sister Anne, do you see anyone coming?" "I see 2 horsemen coming, but they are still far off," Anne cried suddenly. "God be praised! It is our brothers. I am signaling to them to make haste." "Come down, or I will drag you down," Bluebeard bellowed. Ilara opened the door and slowly descended the stairs. Her hair was disheveled, her face tear-streaked. She fell to her knees at Bluebeard's feet. "It is no use," the monster said, raising the cutlass. "You must die." He grabbed her by her hair and lifted the blade. Just as the steel was about to fall, there was a thunderous knocking at the gate. It was so loud and violent that Bluebeard paused, the blade hovering in the air. The gate crashed open. 2 horsemen, swords drawn, rode their horses directly into the hall. They were the brothers, one a dragoon, the other a musketeer. Seeing them, Bluebeard released Ilara and turned to flee. He ran toward the back stairs, but the brothers were too quick. They cornered him before he could reach the steps. The dragoon struck first, parrying Bluebeard's clumsy defense. The musketeer followed, driving his sword through the tyrant's body. Bluebeard fell, his blue beard matted against the cold stone floor, dead. Ilara was almost as dead as her husband from fear. She could hardly rise to embrace her brothers. It was found that Bluebeard had no heirs. As his widow, Ilara became the mistress of all his estates. The castle, once a place of dread, was transformed. Ilara used a portion of the vast fortune to marry her sister Anne to a young gentleman who had loved her a long time. she bought captain's commissions for her two brothers, ensuring their futures. And finally, she used the rest of the wealth to marry herself to a very worthy man, a man with a kind heart and a beard of a very normal color. He made her forget the terrible time she had passed in the company of Bluebeard. The closet was sealed, the key melted down, and the secret of the Azure Keep was buried in the past. But it is said that Ilara never again let curiosity get the better of her, for she knew too well the price of opening doors that were meant to stay shut.